Evening, everyone. This is my 160th video. It's just a closing comment on today's market, which was a study in contradictions and ultimately news headlines. We started with Boeing and UNH and UTX being the sole driver of the Dow, while the Dow was actually up and the S&P and the Nasdaq were down this morning. It was really quite a contrast. What you have in front of you is the S&P chart. It's only a 10-day intraday chart done in hours. And what I want to point out to you is pretty simple. From last night's close, we had a move from 2,400 to 2,500, another move back to 2385, sorry. Another move up here to just under 2,500, and another move back down to 2,400, and another move up to roughly 2,520, and then this afternoon's sell-off. That means that just from this morning, forgetting about last night's action, just from this morning, we moved 100, 170, and 110 points in the S&P. That is tremendous volatility. And I know that a lot of you get desensitized because of the size of the moves that we've been having. But what it says to me is that we are very headline driven. So the first headline, which was to the upside, was Boeing was not going to accept any dilution, and the stock was literally up 30%. First thing in the morning. UNH was up 100, UTX was up 63. So basically, while the Dow was up about 500, almost 400 of it was those three stocks. Advanced declines were 4-1 on the New York and 1.7-1 on NASDAQ. And volume was a little higher, which with this degree of volatility is to be expected. So the problem is that when you're this headline driven, things come out of nowhere and you don't know what the cause is until after the move has taken place. And the moves are taking place quickly. This afternoon's sell-off versus this morning's rally was based on the fact that Bernie Sanders came out this afternoon and said that he was considering holding up the vote and the legislation on the relief program because he wants more restrictions put on corporations. And then Miss AOC in New York said basically the same thing about legislation that has to be done unanimously. The problem with all of these headlines and the action that they precede is the fact that the headlines are not going to change. Things are not going to get better on the virus side. And, I'm not being a naysayer. I'm just saying that based on the situation in New York, which is only worsening. In fact, today they announced that they're going to turn the Javits Center, the biggest convention center in New York, into 1,000 or 1,200 bed hospital so that they can handle patients who don't have the virus so that they don't get further infections from whatever it is that has put them in the hospital. These are the issues, regardless of whether it's going to be settled in the very near term, which looks unlikely. Headlines are going to get worse. So, the question is, how much of it is in the market? The answer to that is it's impossible to know. But, we're just going to continue to find trades that we like and keep position limits very light, half positions to initiate. We can always add later. In any event, that's it for tonight. I'll talk to you in the morning.